Our first story this afternoon, Cocoa Board has refuted claims that some license buying companies have not been paid since November for the supply of cocoa beans. According to the regulator, even though there has been delay in payments, it will be withdrawing some $190 million from the Bank of Ghana to settle the debt by the end of this week. Responding to questions at the Meet the Press series organized by the Ministry of Information, Head of Public Affairs at Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, said despite the delay, it is very critical to promote local consumption of chocolate to boost the economy.
It's about the cost of chocolate being expensive. Well, we are talking about made in Ghana chocolate. If you compare made in Ghana chocolate and chocolate from elsewhere, I do not think that made in Ghana chocolate is expensive. But what I say is that, for example, if we increase consumption, our companies will be able to process more. When they process more, cost of manufacturing or cost of processing will come down. That will force price down. So this is part of the process where we'll be able to bring the price down and we all can consume chocolate. But for example, if you look at a bottle of a cocoa powder compared to other products, I do not think that the price is that high. But of course, when we are able to increase consumption and the companies are able to process more, definitely will have an effect on the price. On the issue about delay in payment to license buying companies, we've answered this question and we're not expecting to have this conversation take precedence over the national activity, that's the National Chocolate Day. But I would like to state that if anyone tells you that we've not paid farmers or license buying companies since November, that is untrue. That is not the case because Cocoa Board has already drawn down about 1.1 billion, which about 92% of it, plus money sourced from Bank of Ghana, have been used to pay license buying companies. We admit there's been some delay, and the expectation is that this very week we'll draw down the remaining $190 million, which we'll use to service the remaining amount of money we are supposed to pay to license buying companies. But that does not mean that because there's a delay, we cannot continue to promote the consumption of chocolates locally and also boost our economy.
Businesses this year flowing pickup in economic activities. According to Databank research, the financial intermediaries will ease their conservative position to loan book this year, despite COVID-19 still lingering. Here's more.
The COVID-19 pandemic compelled banks to review their loan policies last year in order to contain the risk that the virus imposed on the economy. With the global economy recovering following rollout of vaccines, the banks will be motivated to increase loans to the private sector, which is the engine of growth. According to the Bank of Ghana, loans to the private sector weakened throughout last year. Indeed, credit to the private sector slowed to 5.8% in December 2020, compared with 23.8% the same period last year. Databank research said it believes banks will begin to ease their conservative stance to loan book expansion as economic activities pick up. As such, initiatives such as the Coronavirus Alleviation Program instituted by the government to extend loans to micro, small and medium enterprises as well as large businesses should support the sector's loan book growth. As a result, earnings growth for the banking sector will be stronger this year as the banks take advantage of the strong demand for loans to boost interest income. This will also drive their stock prices. Banks recorded profit before tax of about 6.1 billion cedis last year.
Well, meantime, rates of Treasury securities have fallen as government recorded 96% oversubscription of its latest Treasury bill sale. That's according to figures from the Bank of Ghana. Charles Nixon Yeboah has some more perspective.
For the fifth consecutive period, government Treasury bill sales has been oversubscribed. But this time around, oversubscription was quite huge by about 96%. So if you look at the investor interest there, it was quite significant. For example, the 91-day Treasury bill attracted tendering of about 1.5 billion cedis. On a whole, government secured almost 1.7 billion cedis from bids, but accepted 1.90 billion cedis. This shows that clearly the economy has more interest as far as the investment environment is concerned. More importantly, we had rates falling marginally, but that comes as a good omen because then the banks will move away from investing heavily in treasury bill and also giving out loans to personal and business clients, and that is something that we want to see because that stimulates spending in the economy. So if you look at the statistics or the data, the 91-day treasury bill was hugely oversubscribed by investors comparatively to the 6 months bill or 182-day bill. That also had some level of attraction, but that was not up to the levels of the 91-day treasury bill. But we are very, very mindful and very concerned about the rates that fell, and that is good because then it will trigger to reduction in lending rates going forward. Even if you get 1% reduction on your cost of loans, that is good because if you compute it, it comes with some level of cost. So we are happy in the sense that as interest rates on government securities fall, lending rate will also fall, and businesses and personal or individual consumers will have some level of attention from the banks to borrow and also finance their personal and business transactions.
Well, away from that, to the housing sector, some concerning news from over there. About 70% of buildings are constructed without the input of architects or building technologists. That's according to the Vice President of the Ghana Institute of Architects, Foster Osayakono. He emphasized that some buildings are structured without considering the health and safety of occupants. Listen to him speak with Mildred Dodu.
I think things are done, let's say about 70% of the developments are not controlled. 70% of the buildings, I should say, when there was disaster, let's say there was fire, for instance, it will become very difficult to evacuate the buildings, the people from that building. Even when they have been evacuated, where do they assemble and count it? Okay, typical is this building. I'm sure when you were coming here, you struggled for parking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of things in terms of health and safety of the occupants are not being considered. And it is because professionals, more often than not, are not used. And where they are even used, because of what the clients may term the cost aspect, they want to limit their services. And then when it comes to enforcement of the construction process too, the assembly do not have the capacity to do regular enforcement, because what they have to do is at each stage of the construction process, they have to approve or sign off before you can go on.
You're at the marketplace. We have our eyes on a situation unfolding in Kumasi, the ongoing strike by importers and transporters of tomatoes, which has caused a shortage of the vegetable at markets in that city. The importers embarked on the industrial action, protesting violent highway robbery attacks on the Kumasi-Bolgatanga-Burkina Faso route. Now, access to tomatoes for the retail market is becoming a tedious task for traders since all vehicles have been grounded. Nanaya Ojima has been speaking to traders of tomatoes at the Some market and filed this report.
In recent times, importers and transporters of tomatoes have come under highway attacks. Some have been killed and others maimed while traveling to neighboring Burkina Faso to import tomatoes. In the past 1 month alone, 2 people have died and 8 others injured in robbery attacks on the highway. To draw attention to their security concerns, the Tomato Importers and Transporters Association embarked on an industrial action last Friday. Emmanuel Oseitufo is leader of the group.
we are going to park our vehicles. There won't be any tomato coming from Burkina Faso to this country. It's only the military escort can save our lives. If not, we are not going.
Before the recent action, retailers were recording challenges in accessing tomatoes due to reduced importation for fear of armed robbery attacks. Tomato retailers have had to adjust their prices to make up for the price hikes.
We had to track down a vehicle from Burkina at midnight before we were able to secure some tomatoes to retail. If they go on strike, it will affect our business, but they have to do so because their lives are at risk.
We used to sell a pile at 5 cedis. Now it's going for 10 cedis, and our customers are not buying because it's expensive. They are getting rotten.
60 and 50.
If they go on strike, we will go hungry, but they can't risk their lives. Their wives and children will not allow them to travel on the route and die.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Well, we take you next to the northeast region where some vegetable farmers are appealing to government to assist them with farm input to improve crop production. The farmers say fertilizers and pesticides have been difficult to acquire to fight pests and increase soil fertility. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
The farmers, mostly from Kwarugu, say they are beginning to reap good returns from onion cultivation after having tried other crops like watermelon. Their income levels have increased, but cases of pest and their inability to acquire fertilizer remain a challenge.
The fertilizer ni bunama de modoro alwasama de doronya zuzuya yebene an ka de tepume bene abonsiele bene nya mismiswa.
Fertilizer and pesticide are what we need now because our vegetables are being attacked by pests. We want help to boost production.
Fertilizer la yarma yetu gum ya sire enyaka albasama welgira ama ti lati mai bene kaba pom le kulemga enyaka bunsie kam karivira ama bumburin kane kaba yembur sulmitinga kare patina katubur karibuningi
ka sungsin da beni shokenan sunti de nyanga to yo te bor tamadama nkinan bore bumbura ma mamanga nkor kaman to si halil bumbura ma. We
want support from anyone so that we can pay back after harvesting the farm produce. We would love to also have improved seeds from government or any organization because our seeds don't give us the required yield. We would also be grateful if water pumps are supplied to us to make our farming easier. Our lands are very fertile for crop cultivation.
Ni tum lala tuma intonya lala tangbano ma kwa eku bibulga bila hal machines abayi kizan tum bulgmani ya nangni.
The farmers usually plant maize in the rainy season and switch to vegetables in the dry season to keep them active. They want government support to help them expand their farms.
Initiative that is being undertaken by the farmers in this area, and government should be looking at incorporating this as part of the planting for food and jobs, because this is an adventure that can improve on their livelihoods and improve income of households. You see, the land is vast and there's a potential for even local market and even for exports. And all they need is the support. As you can see, there are dangers that they are exposed to and challenges that they are exposed to, and we expect that the relevant organizations, government, and all other stakeholders should come on board to support them in order that we can improve their living standards income and even education, because once they have money, they can be able to send their ward to school. You can see that all those who are here have families they take care of, and it is through this diversification that they are able to put food on the table for their families.
Individuals, organization, government that is willing to support the farmers here in Paragu, particularly the vegetable farmers that farm onion, tomatoes, cabbage, kairos, and other vegetables that you can't talk of. So we are using this platform to appeal to whoever will support them so that they'll be able to feed the nation. Because as the saying goes that agric is the backbone of the economy. The farmers really need help. And we think that this is a platform that we'll be able to use to appeal to the government and any person who will be able to support these farmers.
A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
And so we have a situation where we are facing a potential shortage of tomatoes because we have to import from Burkina Faso, and then there are robbery attacks. And the story that just went past, farmers, vegetable farmers, appealing for assistance. So question is, why can't we help our farmers grow vegetables locally? Something we ought to take a look at. You're watching The Marketplace. Let's turn to some more stories. More than 100 women entrepreneurs in the informal sector have received training in modern ways of doing business to boost their economic fortunes. The mentorship initiative is meant to empower the women with the skill set to enable growth and expand their business operations. The one-year mentorship program is spearheaded by Sinapiaba Savings and Loans for its vulnerable clients amid the COVID-19 impact on businesses. Prince Apia has more.
Between 75 and 80% of clients of savings and loans institutions are often women in the informal sector. Businesses of these women in the informal sector have been identified to be facing many business challenges that affect their growth. Mrs. Theodosia Jackson is board member of Sinapiaba Savings and Loans.
I'm talking about the majority of women who are roasting plantains, selling tomato and other things in the market. They are doing miniature jobs and they are not successful because, one, they don't plan. If someone is selling tomato, quickly the next day you see so many people selling tomato at the same vicinity. The capital they even have, they misuse the capital in buying funeral clothing. So we have brought them here to train them to be disciplined.
The initiative, dubbed Women Mentorship Program, is expected to improve the productivity of existing businesses. The mentorship program adopted the peer-to-peer methodology where Joyce Owusudabo is the Chief Programs Officer.
The target is to focus on SME women entrepreneurs to build their capacities to acquire the needed knowledge and also acquire the skill sets that they need to help invest that skills in their businesses to help them sustain their business first of all and then to grow it. We want to use these women as a channel of employment creation for the nation. So we believe that as they grow their business, then they are able to also employ others and give them support to also impact their community.
They are women startups drawn from 12 out of the 44 branches of the company across the country. Mrs. Owusudabo also revealed the women will receive interest-free loans to be injected into their businesses.
I must say that throughout the period, you will see a lot of improvement in the skills acquired by the women. They've been very innovative. And when you go into their businesses, you can see the change that had happened in their businesses. Some keeping books, the way they relate to their customers, the way they even recruit. We expect that the women mentors whom we've trained, as well as the mentees, would be able to invest the knowledge and the skills that they've acquired from this mentorship program into their business.
Here are some of the beneficiaries of the program.
Through the program, I was able to meet a mentor who introduced me into making of sanitizers and liquid soap. So now I have an addition business to the one that I'm already into.
Ultimately, the strategy is to help these women to make informed decisions about their businesses with the ultimate goal of empowering them.
Great stuff, and that's the marketplace this afternoon. Thanks for watching. My name is Darryl Kwa. We'll have another dose of business for you on Business Live later in the day. Thanks for watching.